There's a massive, highly toxic corporate silence currently radiating from Indianapolis, and that silence is so deafening it is tearing the entire Indiana Fever fan base apart. The front office is sitting on what may be the hottest and most unforgiving executive seat in professional sports right now, and they are playing a dangerous game of multi-million-dollar corporate chicken. On the other side of that game is a highly lucrative, entirely unspoken shadow economy built on visibility, sponsorship power, and global attention, and it is beginning to threaten the balance of the entire franchise. This situation is no longer about polite public relations statements, chemistry quotes, or carefully crafted interviews about team unity. This is about boardroom mathematics, leverage, branding power, and corporate survival. When the Indiana Fever released their promotional materials for the upcoming season, including the 47 days out promotional graphic and the stylized black and white preseason hype video, those were not just simple social media posts. In the multi-billion-dollar global sports industry, every graphic, every frame, and every player featured is a calculated marketing decision reviewed and approved by executives. The campaign prominently featured Caitlyn Clark as the face of the franchise and Aaliyah Boston as the interior star and foundational piece of the team. But what made the entire campaign so loud was not who was included. It was the one major, obvious, and incredibly noticeable omission that was missing from the entire promotional rollout. Listen carefully to the undeniable confusion coming from that observation, because this is where the situation turns into a serious corporate reality. Kelsey Mitchell was nowhere to be found in the campaign, and that is not a small detail. She is not a random bench player or a minor role piece. She is the secondary offensive engine of the franchise and one of the most important scorers on the roster. When an organization intentionally leaves a foundational player out of a global marketing campaign, it is almost never an accident. These campaigns are reviewed, approved, and strategically designed at the executive level, which means omissions can be just as intentional as inclusions. This begins to look less like a marketing decision and more like a calculated boardroom negotiation tactic, a very public display of executive leverage. The Indiana Fever front office may be sending a clear message to Kelsey Mitchell's agency that the multi-million-dollar vault is not fully open yet, but this kind of executive strategy comes with enormous risk. If handled incorrectly, it can quickly turn into a catastrophic corporate and locker room situation that affects not just contract negotiations, but team chemistry, public perception, and the long-term stability of the franchise. I want you to really analyze the sheer danger of this executive gamble, because the Indiana Fever front office has a well-documented history of playing things extremely safe. Last offseason, they were clearly afraid of making a major mistake, so instead of aggressively building a perfectly optimized roster, they surrounded Caitlyn Clark with older, familiar veterans. That overly cautious strategy backfired in the first half of the season, and now the organization appears to be swinging in the complete opposite direction by playing hardball with a player who just delivered a highly efficient, high-volume scoring season. When you look at the financial reality, the situation becomes even more intense. Kelsey Mitchell is an unrestricted free agent at a time when the league has new money flowing in, and the new collective bargaining agreement has dramatically increased the salary cap to around $7 million, with a supermax sitting at roughly $1.4 million, about 20% of a team's total cap space. Mitchell is not entering this offseason looking for a discount after spending years on losing teams before the spotlight finally arrived. She wants long-term security and a full maximum contract, not a short one-year deal that protects the team but puts all the injury risk on her. From her perspective, signing a one-year deal and getting injured could destroy her market value overnight, so she is forcing the front office into a very uncomfortable decision: pay the full long-term price now or risk losing her to the open market where she could end up scoring against them for another team. At the same time, the Indiana Fever front office is looking at a completely different spreadsheet. They believe they are holding the ultimate corporate trump card in Caitlyn Clark's economic and marketing gravity. They saw last season how her pace, passing, and offensive pressure elevated role players that other teams had already given up on, and this has likely created a very dangerous internal belief that they don't actually need to pay Kelsey Mitchell supermax money to replace her production. They may believe they can draft a cheaper replacement or sign a lower-cost veteran and let Clark's style elevate them. In other words, they are betting their entire championship window on the idea that their superstar can cover any roster weakness. But this is essentially a multi-million-dollar game of corporate roulette, because while the front office is focused on base salaries and cap percentages, they may be ignoring the much bigger and largely unspoken financial ecosystem operating around star power, visibility, sponsorships, and brand proximity. In modern professional sports, there is a shadow economy built on exposure, partnerships, and association with superstar athletes, and sometimes the smartest players don't maximize their earnings through team contracts alone. They maximize their value by positioning themselves as the closest, most visible, most marketable partner to the biggest star in the league. Listen to the undeniable strategic brilliance behind that corporate partnership. Sophie Cunningham recently announced a major multi-episode podcast sponsorship with Merit Bonvor, a massive multinational hospitality company that does not casually hand out endorsement deals to secondary rotational players. She is hosting highly visible brand activations in the commercial center of New York City, the type of premium corporate exposure usually reserved for MVP-level superstars. But Sophie Cunningham clearly understood the opportunity when she was traded to the Indiana Fever. She recognized that Caitlyn Clark brings a massive global audience and that aligning yourself with that audience can dramatically increase your personal brand value. To secure that financial multiplier, she also understood that she had to prove loyalty to the franchise and protect the team's biggest investment on and off the court. When the Connecticut Sun played extremely physical defense against Clark, Cunningham immediately stepped in and initiated conflict to defend her teammate, and that moment exploded across social media. Her follow account skyrocketed. Fans embraced her as a protector of the franchise star, and she turned that visibility into major corporate opportunities. She effectively used the Caitlyn Clark proximity effect to elevate her brand and income, proving that you do not have to be the franchise player to earn franchise-level endorsement money. You just need to align yourself with the franchise centerpiece, perform your role, and capitalize on the attention that follows. However, this very public and very lucrative success story creates a serious problem for the Indiana Fever front office. That financial blueprint is now visible to the entire league, and with a large portion of the WNBA approaching free agency under the new CBA, many players are going to want a piece of the Indiana Fever spotlight. This creates a dangerous environment where players may be motivated more by exposure, sponsorships, and personal brand growth than by team structure, roles, or winning strategy. If the front office is not extremely careful, they could end up bringing in players who want the media attention and off-court opportunities that come with playing next to a superstar, but who are not fully committed to the team system or hierarchy. That potential influx of attention-seeking free agents collides directly with the financial pressure surrounding Kelsey Mitchell's contract situation, making the entire roster construction process even more complicated and risky for the organization moving forward. I need that harsh corporate reality to really sink in, because the Indiana Fever front office is staring at a completely unavoidable financial purge. In simple terms, they cannot keep everyone. The era of loyalty, long-term roster continuity, and emotionally driven contracts is over. If the Fever commit a massive portion of the salary cap to Kelsey Mitchell and give her a contract worth around 20% of the cap, then they will be forced to make ruthless decisions elsewhere on the roster. They would likely have to let key perimeter defenders walk away because the new market values elite 3-and-D wings much higher than before. Players like Lexi and Sophie Cunningham are no longer low-cost role players. They have become highly valuable assets in a league that increasingly values spacing, defense, and transition play. If Indiana tries to keep both of them while also paying a supermax to Mitchell, They would run out of cap space and be forced to fill the rest of the roster with minimum salary players, which could slow down the team and hurt the fast-paced system built around Caitlyn Clark. Losing Cunningham would also mean losing more than just shooting. It would mean losing one of the team's toughest role players and a strong locker room presence. This leaves the front office trapped in a difficult financial vice. If they let Kelsey Mitchell leave, they lose their second scoring option and take a huge risk trying to replace that production. If they overpay her, they weaken their defensive depth and future financial flexibility. Meanwhile, new expansion teams with large salary caps are ready to sign major free agents and could target the exact players Indiana wants to keep. That means the Fever front office has one extremely important offseason to make the right decisions. One bad contract, one emotional decision, or one wrong free agent signing could close their championship window before it even truly opens. This is a new reality of professional basketball management, not just coaching and talent evaluation, but salary cap strategy, brand value, roster balance, and long-term financial planning all at once.